imagine again for cow carrots to cut together into one proper story. Ta 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 ta. Thank you, thank you. Alright, Shinamini, by the way, where was that these past 3 days? Well, here it is. I'm telling you now, listen up. I was at... Drumroll, please. Drumroll. Drumroll! I went to Germany for a food trip! That's right, baby! And spent a lot of money on Uber and food. Yup. Yes, Düsseldorf. It was 2 nights. I arrived yesterday evening. Yeah, food is good. Food make happy. Yeah, it was on kind of a mini vacation, but it was a food vacation, and it's funny because like after we arrived at the train station, we took an Uber to our hotel, and they asked us, "Why did you come here?" And we said, we came here to eat food. And he was like, what? Everyone who we told about that, they did not understand the concept of going on a food trip. I don't know why. It's not exactly common. It should be more common. But, I mean, we went to a different country just to eat food. So that is probably a little bit... Ooh! So in case you didn't know, Düsseldorf is in Germany and is the location where I went for Dokumi, like a really, really awesome convention in Germany, anime convention, Japan convention. What is that? And in all of Germany, it has the most... What is that? Japanese people living there. Run! And one of the Uber drivers even told me Düsseldorf in Germany is the country with the second most Japanese people outside of Japan. The other one being LA, apparently. Whoa! I thought it was Brazil. I don't know. Probably that Uber driver talked shit. Yeah. Because now that you say it, I remember when I was in Brazil, there were a lot of Japanese people too. And because of Düsseldorf having so many Japanese people there, they have so much great, authentic Japanese food. And that's why I went there. Because... Ooh! Remember when I went to Dokumi last time? I think I complained that my favorite restaurant at Dokumi was closed because Dokumi was happening at a different time than usual. They were all on a vacation, or I don't know. Just during that time, I was looking forward to eating there so much, and I couldn't eat there. I felt so sad. I was so regretful about that. I was like, I'm gonna come back here just to eat here again. It's called Tonkatsu Gonta. My favorite Japanese food is Hirekatsu, which is a under category of tonkatsu. So, yeah. So I went to Düsseldorf with my ex-roommate. I used to live with her, and we already traveled to a lot of different places. We traveled to London before. We traveled to Greece together before. We went skiing together. She was the one I went skiing with. And after we went to buy my skiing equipment, we were like sitting in a restaurant and just chit-chatting, and I told her that I want to go like on a food trip to Düsseldorf at some point because I really want to eat Japanese authentic food. I want to get that tonkatsu and so on. And she was like, that sounds good. I explained to her that there's like a lot of great Japanese restaurants there, and then she actually got interested and said that she wouldn't mind joining me on that trip. Am I in the dungeon now? So I hope I can tangent properly in here. I'm scared. Anyway, sorry. I'm really not much of a multitasker. I can't tell my stories properly. So I did fly and take a train, both of it, because there was an expensive flight and RMT was like, girl, nuh-uh. That's crazy. No need to pay so much for that flight. We'll fly to a city close by and then go with the train. So we actually flew to Cologne, like the male perfume. And then we took a train. Thankfully, RMT took care of like most of the bookings and looking up which train to use and all that. I had no time for that. So we flew to Cologne, and you know what was funny about that flight? It was one of those cheap-ass Ryanair flights. Ryanair. And we were about to land. Like, literally, I could see the ground. It was like 5 seconds away from landing, or 3 seconds. And then he suddenly took off again, but right before touching the ground, he went phew up again. I was like, what's happening? I still don't know what happened, but he apparently needed to circle around a little bit longer. Yes, only tolerable for very, very short flights. That is very true. Landing failed. We'll try again next time. Yeah. And he flew all the way up in the air again, and then circled around. And then after a few minutes, he tried to land again, and then everything was okay. The pilot eventually figured out a way to land. And then we went for the absolutely dead Cologne airport. Both on our arrival and on our departure, the airport was so empty and dead, lifeless. So, okay, back to my topic. We landed and we went for the empty airport, and now we took a train. And, whoa! See how the light shines through the trees? Whoa. I don't know what I was talking about. Maybe I should just give up on talking. Where was I? Okay, so, how about we take a sit? And I talk for 5 minutes straight, okay? Okay, because otherwise we ain't getting nowhere. Okay, so we arrived, and now we took an Uber, and the Uber was weird, because, I don't know, I had so many talkative Ubers recently, but I'm a nice person, and I was in a good mood, so I was talkative back, and I guess I kind of made him talk more and more, but he was kind of weird, because he was kind of flirty, like in a weird way. Me and my friend RMT, we were laughing our butts off, because he was saying stuff like, he had a car where there's a window on the top, like of the ceiling of the car, and I got in and I was like, oh look, RMT, there's a window up there, can look at the stars with this car. And then he was like, oh, shall I take you look at the stars anytime? And I was like, and then he said weird stuff that I don't even remember. The beauty. What did? Because I was like cringing the whole. I was like, please stop talking. I legit forgot. But he was kind of weirdly flirty and weird, and yeah. And so finally we arrived at the hotel, and we checked into the hotel, and we had a nice talk with the receptionist. And receptionist was really nice. And I took a photo of her name. Oh, let me send that to RMT, because we took a photo of the name so that we remember it, and then are able to, you know, write a good review about her, because she was so sweet. I took out my phone and I was like pointing it at her chest, because that's where the name tag was, and we all just started laughing. But she realizes that she has a very difficult name. She was not from here, so she had like a very foreign name. And then we checked into the room, and we chilled a little bit. I did my makeup, and then I called an Uber, and we went to the first restaurant that I picked out. I planned the restaurants ahead. RMT planned the travel routes and all that, and I planned the restaurants where we were going. Some places I went to before, and some places I didn't. So, let me show you. First one was, drum roll, Yakiniku! We don't have Yakiniku anywhere in Austria, I think. Like typical Japanese Yakiniku. And I heard about this place before in Düsseldorf, and I kind of wanted to go before when I was there for Dokomi, but they were all like fully booked and so on. And it looked already really authentic from the outside. Like pretty much all of the Japanese restaurants in Düsseldorf are really being run by Japanese people. So it's really authentic. And then I was ordering the meat. I was like, RMT, you're gonna love this. I miss Yakiniku. They even gave us, you know, those little aprons. Because if you go to Yakiniku, you're gonna take a lot of the smell with you in your clothes. Like it enters the fabric of your clothes. And this place was really proper. They had a big menu with lots of meat, lots of wagyu. Ta-ta-da-dan! They write everything in Japanese and German. So that was nice of them. There's a lot of Japanese people living in Düsseldorf, so it's good for them to also have the Japanese writing there. So we have karubi and rosu and karubi. I really like karubi. Many karubi. So we started out with this. I also ordered some garlic rice, which was cool. Like it came in a really hot bowl, and the guy, he kind of prepared it in front of us. Like he was like smooshing the rice while it was still like cooking, basically grilling. And then I also ordered a salad, because of course you gotta have a salad, because if you only eat the meat, it's just you need something to change the taste in your mouth every once in a while. And then after eating that big plate of meat, I ordered another one because we didn't have harami. This is harami. We didn't have harami yet on that plate, and this was so good. RMT said she liked the marinated ones the most. I like them all, but yeah, the marinated ones were really good. This was like 5. No, I was 5 pieces, so we had to share 1 piece. Because of course it has to be even. When you eat yakiniku, no, there is nothing like, oh, you can have that one. No, it has to be evenly shared because the meat is so fucking good. And it is a little bit expensive, especially considering that it's yakiniku outside of Japan. So they charge a bit more than if you would eat it in Japan. The good stuff, man. Yeah, it was fascinating for RMT. I don't think she ever had... I mean, we like to grill barbecue or whatever in our country, but this is special. And you know what was really cute? Like in the restaurant, there was this like family with a little baby girl, like a toddler, and she was like hanging around her mommy's arms the whole time and like going like and then once our eyes met one time, she kept on waving at me, and it was so cute because I kept on waving back, and then 5 seconds later she would like happily with a smile wave at me again, and I would wave back again, but she kept on initiating it. It was so cute, and for a while I would focus on eating, and I would look back at her, and she would wave at me, and she would laugh and be like and I would wave back. It was so cute. And the mom noticed, of course, and she was also laughing and like, oh, look at her. Pointing at me. Yeah, it was really adorable. And I talked in Japanese to the staff, and they were impressed. But even though my Japanese was kind of getting a little bit rusty. Oh, and then we had a dessert. I liked the choice of desserts that they had. This was the dessert. It was rare cheese to matcha. Rare cheese. I don't think you actually say rare cheese in English, do you? Do you say that in English? Yeah, it's like a cheesecake cream with matcha cream on the bottom, and then some berries and cookie crumbles. Anyway, it was yummy. It was yummy. I was so happy to eat yakiniku again because I like the whole grilling it yourself aspect of it. Unfortunately, they ran out of chateaubriand. I wanted to eat that again. I ate that once before. It was fucking amazing. It's a very, very specific part of beef, of the body. A very specific part of a fillet part that is really, 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 really nice. Sounds French. Yeah, the name is French. If you're ever at a yakiniku place, check if they have that, because it's really good. It's the middle section of filet tenderloin. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, and then we left the restaurant happily ever after. And it was cold, but we took an Uber, and then we drove back to the hotel. Actually, RMT was so fucking tired. Because at that point, she hadn't slept for like 24 hours due to work and stuff. Like, she was busy. So we went to bed quite early, or at least she did. And I was watching a bit Netflix. And then, yeah, first evening, dunzos. And now we do the cave. Now we do the cave, and then later I'll tell you more. Poor RMT. She was fine. At least she drinks coffee, and that helps her. I don't drink coffee, so when I don't sleep, I'm kind of fucked. Anyway, we slept, and then we went for breakfast in the next morning. Breakfast, yum, 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 yum. Then we went back into the room and chilled a little bit, because honestly, I planned like a lot of places where we should eat food, but I didn't really plan for activities in between. So, in between, there were some times when we were a little bit bored. So, we went back into the room after breakfast and watched some TV. Which was kind of funny in itself, because I haven't watched actual TV in such a long time. So, I found it to be interesting to see what's happening. Even the commercials were interesting to me, just to see what's being advertised recently. Yeah, then both the Yakiniku place and the place that we went to on the second day for lunch were places that I haven't been to before. Oh wait, that's a boss! That's a boss again, isn't it? Is it a big wolf? I need to concentrate now. Okay. But let me just tell you what we ate for lunch. I thought because we wouldn't have so much time until dinner, that it should be something that's a bit more lightweighted. So I chose a soba place. But I kind of already guessed that RMT, I mean, she probably wouldn't dislike it, but probably wouldn't like classical soba that much, like just with the cold soba, for example. It's very, very simple. So I recommended to her to eat this curry version of it that they had. But it was so good because it was like a soupy curry. It was so hot and warm and really spicy, actually. So both of our noses were running. And actually, we were both really slow at eating because we don't slurp the food. So the noodles ended up being pretty soggy at some point. So it is true. You should eat your noodles quicker. But it was so good. The curry, Japanese curry. I feel like this was perfect because one cuisine that I didn't plan for us to eat was curry, because I thought we could eat more special things than that, even though I love curry. But I did want her to experience it. So it was a combination of soba, which she'd never ate before, and Japanese curry, which she also never ate before. A good combination. 2 birds with 1 stone. You know what I'm talking about? Did she enjoy it? She liked it, yeah. I told her that I was unsure if she would like it because I remember when I first ate Japanese curry, I didn't like it. Now I love it. But back then, I didn't like it. She actually... Please don't be mad, but I have a really small stomach and I didn't quite finish my food, even though I really enjoyed it. But she did. She finished her food. You don't even see it here, but it was a huge amount of noodles. And not much time has passed since our breakfast. So I was not that hungry and I have a small stomach in general. But it was really good. And it was a relatively small place. The smallness of it made it feel kind of cozy. Bird stomach. Understandable. Thank you. Did she end up eating the leftovers? No, she was absolutely overfilled, overkilled herself. So, yeah. It made me want to try making Japanese soup curry at home as well. With my curry cubes that I have. Anyway, let's kill the boss and then I'll tell you more. Cow Carrot be like, this fucking bitch. Can't you just tell one tangent at once, please? A bit more about my trip before we continue, okay? Alright. Oh yeah, after that, we walked around in Düsseldorf, that street that has most of the Japanese stores. That's actually leading or going away directly from the main train station in Düsseldorf. It's called Immermannstraße. Yeah. So we went into some shops because there are like some Japanese supermarkets as well. Not Asian, but specifically Japanese supermarkets. I went in a few of those and looked what they had. We bought Ramune. I like Ramune. I showed RMT what Ramune is. She liked it. We had fun opening it up. I thought it would be a nice idea to show her Ramune because Ramune has a fun way of opening the bottle where you gotta push with all your power, all your might. You gotta push down like a little glass bowl through the top of the bottle so that you can drink. Who is RMT? She used to be my roommate. I used to live with her. That's RMT roommate. It's not that hard to push. I always feel like it's pretty difficult. Pretty tough. Yeah. Roommate Machi Tenshi. Yeah. We just went for a lot of shops drinking ramen. Oh no, wait, that's not it. That's not all. That's not all of it. Yeah. You know what I did then? I showed her the location of where Dokomi happens every year. It has like this huge, crazy, huge, big park. It's called North Park. Park of the North. And it's like right next to the venue where Dokomi always happens. And usually every year when Dokomi happens, people are not only inside the venues, but they're also like at the huge park next to it. And it's not just a normal park, it's crazy. It has like a Japanese garden in it. And it has like big fountains and all that. It has like a little tiny baby lake. Not really a lake. But yeah, it's a really cool, chill area with beautiful photo spots. That's where the party happens. People like to chill there at the park. So I showed her the place. And it was so empty, which was really nice. It was a nice park walk through the park with RMT. And I told her, oh, this is where me and my friends liked to hang out during the convention. We used to chill here. We would put a blanket here. And oh, yeah. We would walk around and every 5 steps there would be someone we know. And then they would be like, hello. And we would be like, hello. And then we would continue walking after a little chit-chat. And then after 5 meters, the next person comes across us. So we never get to the point where we actually want to go. Or at least it takes us a long time. We were also bird watching. There were some interesting birds there. Yeah, there were some birds bathing in some water. Geese, yeah, there were some cool geese. Oh yeah, right, there was a Canadian geese. We looked it up. Me and RMT were using Google photo lens to figure out what animals and what flowers we were seeing, and Google was really useful. They were pretty. I was looking at them bathing. It was so cute. They were like bathing their little heads in the water and then their little butts. Canadian geese can be annoying. Oh, wait, I feel like I heard about that before. Was it Canadian geese that were the annoying ones? They were totally chill there. I might show you a photo or a video later on. Not today, but like on Twitter or something. I was really fascinated. They were so cute. So I showed her around. We walked through the park. We saw some baby bunnies hopping around in the distance. Yeah, when there's not a million of people there because they're going to Dokomi, then the park is really empty. And then there's like bunnies hopping around and geese bathing in the water and so on. It's pretty chill and relaxing. And some flowers and some trees and so on were already what's the word? They were already blooming. Yes, blooming. But it was still a little bit too early. The photo that I uploaded with the ume tree. I think it's plum? Not plum. But it's something similar to a sakura cherry blossom tree. It blooms earlier than the cherry blossom trees. And a lot of people mistake them for sakura trees, cherry blossom trees, when they see them. Because they do look similar. But they're, I guess in general you could say that the plum trees have way whiter blossoms, flowers, than the sakura trees do. The sakura trees are a bit more pinkish, although I saw some pretty white ones before too. But in general, if you see a white blossoming tree that look like sakura, it's probably, if it's only one and it's like blooming pretty early, then it's probably a plum tree. mistook them for cherry blossom a lot myself. Yeah, they're really pretty though. After our walk in the park, it was getting pretty cold and the sun went down, and I called an Uber to pick us up, but he was taking so much time, and I was like trying to, you know, shake the coldness out of my body. So I turned on gas while looking at my Uber app, hoping for him to come faster. Yeah, that was funny. And I was dancing actually. And then some randos walked by me, but I just continued to dance, and RMT was chuckling and giggling at me, just dancing to gas while people were looking at me. And then after we listened to that, I showed RMT a German rap song from many years ago that you guys don't know either, unless you're German maybe, and unless you're a boomer. It's a really cringe rap song that I remember when we were in school. Like, we made fun of that song. It was really ridiculous. It goes like, Wo bist du mein Sonnenlicht? It's really bad. She didn't know it! So I showed her the cringe music video. The lyrics are so bad. So then, finally, we got into the Uber. Uber driver was a weird guy again. Again, a talkative guy, but as in, like, I got into the Uber and I told him that we're kind of about to be late. Not really asking for him to go faster, but I just kind of wanted to hint at it so that maybe if he knew a shortcut or so, he could maybe take a shortcut. I don't know, you know. I just wanted to hint at it. That we're like getting a tiny little bit late to our reservation. And then he was like, he said that he's never gonna go faster ever again when an Uber guest asks him to, because once he did that, he drove people to their flight and his license was taken away from him because he was caught. They got on their flight, but he was caught. Which, okay, I understand. If this is your job and you do it so many times a day, no need for speeding, breaking limits and shit. But he kept on talking about, I'm never gonna do this again. I'm gonna throw you out of the car if someone asks me for that, blah, blah, blah. You girls are fine, but no, this happened, and I'm never gonna lose my fucking license ever again. He was so, like, I don't know, cynical. It almost felt like cynical. Yeah, I opened a wound, definitely. I poured some salt into that. I opened a door that I didn't want to open. It was kind of annoying. Yeah, I struck a nerve just by saying that we're a little bit late. Yeah, it was annoying, but eventually we arrived at the restaurant, and I ordered, because it was on the menu. Oh, I ordered basically a dessert for my drink. Da-da-da-dan! Creme Melon soda, which is melon soda with vanilla ice cream inside of it. You kind of like let it melt in there and mix, and it basically becomes kind of like milkshakey. But the vanilla ice cream was so good that I couldn't hold myself back, and I ate like half of it before letting it melt in the soda. And then my beloved tonkatsu hirekatsu teishoku. I want to eat it again. It was so good, and RMT really enjoyed it too. Juicy, thick meat with that yummy tonkatsu sauce. I always order hirekatsu if it's available. Definitely always prefer it because hirekatsu is like more fillet-ish, while the basic tonkatsu or rosukatsu has more like pieces of fat in it, and I don't like that. I was eating so fast and still enjoying every single bite. Oh, I was in heaven. I want to go back. But guys, one sad thing that I was really, really sad about. I don't know if you guys remember me mentioning this before, but this restaurant used to have something on their dessert menu that I ate before a couple years ago when I went to Dokomi. Honey toast. And you might be thinking, what is that? Let me show you. I was looking forward to eating that again. It is basically a big chunk of toast that is not cut. Damn it! Why is everything saving as .web page? I need a fucking JPEG. What the hell? Okay, how about this one? Where is it? I just put it in here. It's not here. No, it saved this web page again. It's okay, right? You guys know what it looks like, right? If you Google honey toast or honey toast Japan, then you will see what it is. So they had that on the menu, but they took it off. They took it off like a while ago. Apparently, I asked, like, do you not serve honey toast anymore? And they were like, eh? Like the girl that I talked to, she didn't even know like they had honey toast, so it must have been taken off of the menu a while ago. You know, I knew that it would be so tough to eat because both the tonkatsu and the honey toast would be so filling that I don't know how we would have eaten all of that, but I would have only ordered one honey toast for us to share and just somehow filled my belly with it. But they didn't have it anymore. They didn't have any desserts at all anymore. And to be honest, that's normal for a tonkatsu place. Normally, a tonkatsu restaurant doesn't have desserts to begin with. The fact that they had honey toast there was just, I guess, a funny gimmick for them as a restaurant outside of Japan to serve any dessert at all. But they took out all of the desserts. Make one at home. That's what I was thinking. Like, I'm really craving honey toast. And now I'm thinking maybe I should make it at home. I'm sure there's like YouTube videos that explain how to make it. I'll try to look them up. Maybe I'll buy a bread machine just for that. Have to add the secret ingredient, love. I have a lot of love for honey toast. I wanted my RMT to eat it too. But first and foremost, I wanted to eat the honey toast. Sad. But it led to a different exciting happening. So we ate our tonkatsu and we were pretty full. But we were like, we gotta eat a dessert anyway. Now that I'm so disappointed about them not having honey toast anymore, I want a different dessert. So I looked up where we could get a dessert close by. Maybe something Japanese related. Because we're here to eat Japanese food. And I found something interesting that I didn't know they had in Düsseldorf. Taiyaki! There was a place there that had taiyaki. And it smelled so good. There was quite some waiting time because they were pretty popular. Oh, it smelled through the whole street, man. And it was so good. And there were different choices. There were like all kinds. There was the classic one with the red bean inside. There were matcha ones. There were Nutella ones. There were Oreo ones, I think. I got my favorite vanilla custard and Oreo. Two different ones. And RMT got vanilla custard because I recommended it. And Nutella. So we brought it to the hotel. We got them to take away and quickly Ubered to our hotel. And then we made ourselves cozy in the hotel, watching some late evening TV shows and eating the taiyaki. And oh my god, it was actually so good. So yeah, it made up for the lack of honey toast. It was great. It was so yummy. They were still warm when we arrived to the hotel. The name comes from Tai, the fish, and Yaki is grilling. And they come in these shapes not because they taste like fish, just because they're called taiyaki. I actually don't know the original reason where it came from, but I remember when I lived in Japan, at some point I lived somewhere where there was always like a little taiyaki food truck outside a supermarket close to me, and I would always on my way home, I would go by the taiyaki place and I would order 1 or 2 taiyakis to take home with me. Yeah, so I have good memories of taiyaki. I love taiyaki. It's like kind of like a waffle, and inside it's filled with some kind of cream, depending on what you choose. We were still craving taiyaki on the following day. We were walking through Düsseldorf to the main train station to catch our train, and for some reason, over the course of like 1 kilometer, even though we were like very far away from the taiyaki place, we felt like we were smelling the taiyaki. Even though it was impossible, we were probably just smelling some kind of crepe or waffle place or something. But we were thinking we were smelling the taiyaki and really craving it, even on the following day. Yeah, it was that good. I was so happy because everything I ate there really tasted the way it should taste in Japan. Okay. Okay, now story time over. More on this later, but I don't even feel like playing anymore. Okay. We will rest here with the donkey and the weird Santa Claus in yellow with the back scratcher and the butterflies. Beautiful. My new friends. Everyone's here. What was the last piece of food I showed you? I think I showed you the taiyaki too. So that was in the evening. We brought that home and then we watched TV. I told you everything up until that point, I think. And then it was the last day. We woke up and we got breakfast. And then we packed our stuff together, chilled a little bit more in the hotel room, I think. And then we checked out. Oh yeah, I brought me and RMT to a bakery. There are 2 Japanese bakeries in Germany, Düsseldorf. And you might wonder, what's so different between a Japanese bakery and a normal one? Well, I mean, it's not that like insanely different, but they have a few original things that they sell there. We went to both of them, but interestingly, the one that's on the big famous street was way less crowded. Probably because they also didn't have much more in stock, at least at the time when we went there. But the other one, which was on a side street from that big famous street, that one had a line of people waiting. And it was like after lunchtime. And there were actually also a lot of Japanese people standing in line. It was 50% Japanese people and 50% weeps just trying to get some Japanese bread. I wanted to get some bread, not because I think it's like so much better than our bread here. I think I generally prefer our bread, but I wanted RMT to see like what a Japanese bakery is like. And also because it was a good thing to pass some time. And my plan was that we buy that bread first, then go have lunch, because we had a flight sometime in the afternoon. The bread we could eat at the airport or in the plane or afterwards for dinner, whatever. That was my plan. Yeah. Is the merchant listening? You listening? Listen. So, this is all the bread that we bought, although there were some duplicates that are not on the picture. So, on the very right, you probably can recognize it's a melon pan with chocolate chip. In the very middle is a curry bread. I bought that one because I know that that's the good stuff. It's a little bit crunchy, but I had to warm it up. You have to heat it up. You can either get it freshly heated, then it's still a bit crunchy, but I had to reheat it at home. It was still delicious, but it lost a little bit of its crunchiness. But I really love kare pan. The one below that, I think, was a shukurimu that I got in the not-so-popular bakery. The melon pan as well. The top right one, I don't know anymore what that was because that was something that RMT bought. So I'm not sure. The middle top one, I mean, it's basically just a bread with some chocolate inside. But it's such a cute shape. Yeah, it's a corone. Chocolate cornetto. Then on the top left, I think that was also a melon pan, but a different one, not with the chocolate chips. And then below that was like a twisted sugar donut. It's yummy, but it's not like, it's like specifically something Japanese, but I bought that quite often when I lived in Japan as well. And then the bottom left is a teriyaki burger. The moment I stepped into that bakery and I saw that there was one teriyaki burger left, and I was like, RMT, I'm sorry, but that one's mine. That one's mine, that one's mine. And I walk over there quickly, and grab the teriyaki burger. And I'm like, yatta! I got it! I got the rare teriyaki burger! Yeah! Teriyaki burger! I ate it after coming home. What is that? It's just a burger with teriyaki sauce. In the Japanese McDonald's, they have it on their main menu, on their default menu, which we unfortunately don't have overseas. We stood in line, by the way, for 30 to 40 minutes. It felt longer. It might have been longer. Yeah, the line was especially slow because they were only letting in 8 people, I think, at the most, into the store. So I think under normal conditions, it wouldn't be that bad. And also, something I figured out later on, this was a Saturday. So maybe during the weekday, it's not that bad. But the reason why it might have been even worse on Saturday, not just because it's a weekend, but apparently every weekend there is a gathering, if I understand correctly, of like, you know, people. Japan fans and cosplayers and weeps in the big park where that big convention happens, which is somewhat close to this Japanese street in the city center. Yeah, apparently it's every week. So I think probably what they do is like before they go to the gathering or afterwards as well, they probably go to the street, get some bread or get some other dinner, lunch, whatever, and then go to the meeting probably. That's probably why the line was longer. Well, we went to the park on the day before, on a Friday, and it was pretty empty. I mean, we saw a small group of people there that looked really edgy, and they were doing some weird thing with fire. They were like, they had some fire on. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? What the fuck? Anyway, I'm glad I bought the bread because even though I didn't originally intend it to be my dinner, I got home pretty late, so it did end up being my dinner. And the curry bread was so good. It was a little bit spicy, but it was so good. So we did that first, and then RMT picked up this at the bakery as well. Mochi! Mochi, 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 mochi with red beans, uncle. I was like, I'm not sure you're gonna like it, RMT, but I think it's worth trying because it's something very popular and common in Japan. It's basically Japanese sweets, so you should give it a try. Yeah, it's red beans, azuki beans that are just not really common in Austria to be used for anything. And also, I mean, mochi itself, sticky rice. Yeah, so it's really new for someone who has not eaten much Japanese food before. She gave it a try. I think she actually may have finished eating it. I'm not sure. I prefer mochi with different fillings. Oh, you know what I like? Ichigo daifuku. That's something I can enjoy. But I thought it was better for her to try this mochi, handmade by Japanese people with the proper ingredients and all that, than trying the frozen ones that recently they do sell in our supermarkets. Even if maybe the supermarket ones are more adjusted to our taste buds. But you should try the original, giving her a little taste of Japan. And me and RMT talked about this on our trip, and I completely forgot about this because it never actually happened. But when I was in Japan, right before I left, RMT and I were talking about her joining me in Japan for a little trip, like when I went there to be there for 1 year. That was before the sea thing was breaking out. And she was planning on visiting me while I was there, just for a little trip. And we were planning for that, and she was like looking up hotels and all that, and I recommended her a hotel to stay at and all that. And it never happened because then soon after immediately after I went to Japan, the sea thing broke out and she had to cancel her trip, and therefore she never came to Japan. So this was a little opportunity for me to give her a little bit of a taste of Japan in exchange for not being able to go there. And then, after buying the bread, we went to an Izakaya. It's like a mix between a Japanese restaurant and a drinking bar thingy, where you drink alcohol and then order lots of yummy food and then share it with people. And it's one where I've been to before, and I wanted to go there again because it was so good last time. Problem is, We got our seats pretty quickly, but they were really stressed out and they didn't let us order much before the restaurant's lunch break. And I underestimated how hungry we were and how much it would fill us up. But I ordered some yummy gyoza, and I wanted tamago yaki, but they didn't have it on the lunch menu, so I had to order this tamago nigiri or something like that from the sushi menu. But that was really good anyway, because I got my tamago yaki just with some rice extra. That's okay. All the staff were Japanese in here too, and they were wearing typical Izakaya uniforms as well. This was something that RMT ordered. It looks really good, but I don't like sushi, so that's that. Then I ordered as some of these. Yakitori! Yakitori! I think the restaurant was called Kushite. And kushi is these, what do you call these in English again? Skewers! Yes, yes. Kushite. The sauce was so good. Oh, I love the sauce on these skewers. Because it's like so thick and so strong. Really, really good. But then they kept on stressing us out, even though, like, when we entered, they said, the last order is that time. But then they kept on asking us earlier to order because they're gonna not let us order anymore, even though there was still some time left. How would I know if this would fill me up? Like, basically, we sat down, and the first thing they say is, this is your first order and your last order. And I'm like, okay, shit, but I don't even know how big the portions are. Because the skewers were actually kind of smaller than I thought they would be. Would you go back? Yeah, of course. But I would go a little bit earlier. No, but they were nice. They were still nice. The staff was really impressed about my Japanese. I wanted to enjoy the Japanese atmosphere, so I ordered in Japanese. And they were like, oh, wow. Sugoi! Nihongo ojozu! But like for real, ojozu! なんでそんなに日本語が上手なの？あ、日本に住んでましたから。いつものやつだ。I have this dialogue down that I can basically say it while I'm sleeping. So after that, we still had a lot of time until our train and our flight, and we were still a little bit hungry, and they closed earlier than I thought they would. And I wanted a dessert. So there was something that really stood out to me on that street, but it was not Japanese. So this was basically the only or the first non-Japanese food that I ate on this trip. And it wasn't even food. This was just like an American burger restaurant and all that, with some insane milkshakes. Ta-ta-da-dan! Ah! It looks just crazy. They're huge. They have these huge things on top that you can't even reach the milkshake first. And I saw it and I was like, RMT, I know that I will get sick from eating this, but I need to eat it anyway. And I asked RMT to share it with me, so we shared. We did share. We tried our best, but to be honest, this was a cookie dough milkshake. But to be honest, the cookie dough thingy on top tasted kind of weird. So I tried to combine it with everything else, like eat the cookie dough at the same time as slurping the milkshake and getting one of those chocolate chips as well. And then it was somewhat edible, but it wasn't even that good. But I wanted to eat it for the experience, okay? Edible cookie dough can be weird. Yeah, it tasted kind of weird, yeah. So, I drank all of the milkshake, but I left a lot of the cookie dough on the side. The milkshake was fine in itself. That's okay. They had some amazing looking burgers there as well, but I didn't think I could handle a whole burger at that point. And then we still had so much time. And RMT was saying she really craved some coffee. And I looked up where there is good coffee close by. And there was one literally on the other side of the street where the reviews were saying that this was where you get the best coffee here. Like, absolutely amazing coffee. And it looked pretty nice, like interior-wise. It looked pretty good too. Well, I didn't get coffee. I got tea. But the tea was amazing too. That was amazing, incredible. The waiter, he didn't only just pour hot water over a tea bag. No, I saw him preparing it with like so much grace and elegance and passion and professionalism. That cup is not broken. That's where the water is supposed to flow out. It was like a tea ceremony, but for like not green tea. It was, by the way, peach and hibiscus. It was divine and exquisite. Yeah, fruit tea. If you're wondering if you want to go to the places where I went to next time you visit Düsseldorf, this one was at a cafe located in a hotel on that street, the famous street, Immermannstraße, and it's called Vier, the number 4 in German. I actually got 2 cups because it was so good and because we were sitting there for like 1.5 hours, wasting our time until the train leaves. And I was like, I felt like it was rude if I was staying for so long to only drink 1 cup of tea because it only took me like 20 minutes to drink it. Yeah, so I got another one because it was also really, really yummy. It's so good! It was so good and they made it so well. And the coffee, RMT said that the coffee was amazing as well. So, big success, I would say. And one thing that I thought was fascinating is I went to an idol meeting while I was having tea. I mean, I left the tea on the table, but I went to an idol meeting. And Sasuga, Japan Street, that hotel had public... I mean, I don't know why I saw that because I went to an idol meeting. I don't know why I saw a toilet, of course. But it had a public Japanese toilet. And when I say Japanese toilet, I mean those magical toilets that go like... Vroom! They open when you enter. That can, like... purify your butt and shower it with gifts. No. Butt shower. Which I don't like doing because I don't go to the toilet anyway. I go to idol meetings. I've never saw that before outside of Japan. I mean, I've seen even more advanced ones in Japan, but that one still was an automatic one, and that was fascinating. They were also selling Japanese cup noodles at the reception. And they have hair salon seats in the lobby. What a weird hotel. Oh, we were melting in those leather sofas. Not because it was hot, but because we were like about to fall asleep because they were so comfy. What's the name of the hotel? I don't remember. The cafe is Vier, number 4 in German, and is located in the hotel. No, it's not Hotel Nico. I almost wanted to go to Hotel Nico for karaoke because supposedly they have karaoke, Japanese style karaoke in the hotel, but it's kind of expensive. And RMT said like she doesn't like karaoke, so I would be the only one singing. I think that was it, because after that we went to the train station, but turns out our train was like 1 hour late. So after already trying our best to make the time pass, German trains are not as exactly on time as they claim to be, because we were sitting there for another 1 hour. But big brain moment in the morning time when we were thinking about which train to take, RMT gave me 2 options. Either we take the train where we would be perfectly on time for the flight and wouldn't have to waste much time in the airport either, or we would take the train where we would be 1 hour too early and would have to waste 1 hour at the airport. And I was like, you know what? It would be so comfy to just arrive there and then walk into the airport and go. But I have a bad feeling because the trains could be late. So let's go with the second one, the one that arrives too early and makes us wait 1 hour in the airport. So now we see that was a really smart decision because our train had 1 hour delay. So then we arrived at the airport at a pretty good time. That was really smart. A good call from me, yeah. People have this image of German people being punctual, and I think their trains being punctual too. But they're not. They're not. Smart job. Yeah. So on our way back home after arriving at the airport, me and RMT took an Uber to my place because RMT left something a while ago in my apartment and I wanted her to pick it up. So we went to my place first. And we got into this Uber. And the moment I got in, I was like, yo, because the whole ceiling of the Uber was covered in sparkly LEDs with like 2 to 3 centimeters in between. I was like, what's this Uber? What the hell? I asked because like there's different Uber types, right? There's like the normal Uber, and then there's like a little bit more of a fancy Uber, and then there's the big Ubers that you can order. But I was like, did I order the fancy Uber by accident? I didn't realize, and the driver was like, nah, it's just normal. And then, because I was so fascinated by the LEDs, he showed me some effects because they could change color. And he was like, what color do you want? And I said, they're blue right now. Let's do white so it looks like the stars and the sky. And then he turned them into white. And then he said, oh, stars? Okay, let me show you. And then it was like suddenly from one side of the back to the other side in the front, there was like shooting stars. He had a shooting star effect. Yeah, it was so cool. I was so fascinated. I kept on looking at the ceiling. I was like, this is so cool. This is so cool. This is so cool. And then he pointed out that he has a screen, a TV screen in the front, like next to the steering wheel. And I was like, well, yeah, watching Netflix and all that is nice. Maybe when you're in a traffic jam and you can't move on much. And he said, oh, and even during driving I can watch because I actually also put in a DLC, you know what I mean? So that it drives on its own. And was like, what? All of those things he has been like installing himself. So then he showed off while we were like driving pretty fast that the car recognizes, first of all, when it's too close to a car, and then it slows down. And then it recognizes when it goes to the left lane that it can drive a bit faster, because on the left lane here, you drive faster. Like a bootleg Tesla. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I thought only Teslas have that. So it was a normal car. Yeah, holy shit. And he did all of that himself, but that's not where it stops, guys. So I was still like fascinated by the lights and everything. Like I was like, doesn't this all of this cost a lot of money, like doing this stuff? And then he told us that he works for Uber, but he has like a company kind of, like a lot of cars who drive for him, and they kind of drive for Uber, you know what I mean? And then he told me that he's doing that because he needs to save up money for his flying license, his commercial flying license. And I'm like, what? And then he kept on going about all these licenses. I was like, tell me more, this is interesting. He told me that he already has a private flying license and told me that he's working on getting the commercial one. And he showed me a photo of the plane that he likes to fly. Not like a huge plane, just like a small one. Yeah, and I was like, what? And then he tells me he has like pretty much a license of everything that you can control and drive. And I was like, okay, why? Like, what for? But yeah, it seems to be his hobby to like control everything that can move. So I was like, okay, when are you doing an underground boat? Isn't there a proper word for that in English? A submarine. And he was like, maybe someday. Yeah, he kept on telling us about all these licenses. He can drive trucks and like everything. A space shuttle. One day, probably. Bikes, of course, bikes. Trains. I asked about trains too. What did he say? He said he's not really interested in trains because it's boring. Because there's not much to do, but he does want to try once only. But he's not interested in getting a license or so for it. Oh, but he did say that after getting the commercial license, he wants to be able to do it as a job. He wants to work as a pilot. He was a really weird character. I felt like I met a really interesting NPC. He also said that he, how do you call this in English? Tiefalegen. When you put a car lower, when you make it so that it's lower to its tires. He even showed me once we arrived and parked that there's like really not much space to the tires. I was like, I don't really see a difference. He said, yeah, it's just 2 centimeters. And I was like, who really notices that? Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I was so fascinated by like having so many licenses that I asked how old he was, because like how can you do all of that without being like pretty old? He said he was under 30. I don't know the exact age. Didn't ask exactly. But under 30. But I didn't tell him that I had quite an interesting life myself. But it's nice to hear some interesting stories sometimes. Sounds like a Yakuza character. Yeah. Sounds like he has rich parents. Yeah, I wanted to kind of know like where he gets all that money from. Can you really make that much money? Because the commercial flying license costs about $85,000. And considering all the other licenses he has, and him having to also renew them every once in a while, it sounded fishy to me. It doesn't matter, but that was a weird... I had a lot of weird Uber drivers, guys. I had a lot of weird Uber drivers in the past few days. Normally, I don't want to talk to them, you know? I just want it to be quiet. But this one was actually interesting to listen to. Better than awkward silence? I don't think silence in an Uber is awkward. That's the one place where I don't think silence is awkward. If the Uber driver doesn't engage in the conversation, it's an instant 5 stars. Yeah. So, that was my food trip. And I would do it again anytime because the food is so good. Hopefully, next time I'll combine it with... some... I don't know, going to Dokumi privately. Perhaps. All this talk about food makes me hungry again.